I think another very important point is that a lot of the companies that are being built already know who are their potential target buyers, and being in touch with those buyers and trying to have a dialogue, a relationship, learning what they're doing, where they're looking at, and even exchanging some experience is really important. Just to give you an example, I'm in the board of Mercado Libre, which is a leading auction and e-commerce site in Latin America, and I've been I was also an investor, so I followed them all from the beginning. And Marcos Galperin was always going to San Francisco to talk to Google, to talk to eBay, to talk to all of the companies. He's, for example, today he's in Japan talking to a company there. So he's pretty much on top of what everybody's doing elsewhere, the top players in each field, to see, what they're looking at, what's the technology, and, to a certain extent, you also share, your concerns and what you're doing. So in that way, you start building relationships, you start being respected, and you start getting well known to them. So the moment they think of coming to your market, you're probably going to be one of the first people that those acquirers will come talk to. The second thing is...
Can I just compliment that really quickly?
Sure.
So the key point, and it deserves emphasis, so is it's a war, it's not a battle. So a lot of people think, oh...
Are we talking about marriage or...?
No, we're talking about the exit process. It's not something that you do at the last minute when somebody knocks on your door. It's a process of progressive revelation. So from the beginning, I'm not saying think about selling your company. What I'm saying is thinking about, like you said, how he goes and sort of evangelizes and lets people know that he exists, so that when they do finally want to come to Latin America,
he's the first option.
Absolutely, exactly.
So it's two things in that case. So one is really getting all these large players to know who you are, tell them what you're doing, etc. So it's really selling, but it's more than that. It's really learning what direction those large players are taking. So okay, what are the trends? What are these guys worried with? A lot of times, countries in Latin America, particularly in Brazil, think that what is being done abroad is better or more ahead or more modern. That's not always true, but of course there's a lot of learning to do, and we end up doing here things locally that sometimes are even further ahead of what's being done abroad. But exactly for this reason, that it's very important to see what's being done outside, what are the opportunities here, so you can move quickly and pretty much break the ground, because this market overall is smaller, in each of our local markets. So it is a great opportunity to have sort of this forward sight of what's being done in a more developed market, and be able to act locally in a really agile and fast form. So.
A question I get asked a lot is, is it a good time to sell? I'll have clients call me up and say, hey, what do you think? Is it a good time to sell? And I always think, if you're asking me, you're bad. That's the bad side. But I guess, a question for Mariano, how did you decide that it was a good time to sell?
Okay, as I think I mentioned before, we weren't looking to make a sale. We were looking to raise more money and get this portfolio of games out there. Basically, compete with Playdom and others in a type of game that we wanted to create, based on top of our technology, which we could create more engaging games on Flash. We can talk about that later, but they were our clients in the service part of our business. So we got to, and part of what you said, telling the same story for us. I mean, when we started, we did, our first game, we don't show it as much because it was garbage. It was a game that, it's a car racing game where cars didn't crash into each other. So they're like ghosts. time I went to LA, Silicon Valley, New York, I traveled like 500,000 miles in the last 4 years or more. It was momentum, there was evolution. So people in the industry talk to each other and say, hey, these guys are good, these guys are good. And all of that in a small industry like video games, there's a lot of new companies and new players, and there's a lot of rotation of dead companies, new companies. The hot company, which is not a hot company anymore, combines technology and entertainment, which are two very trend-oriented industries. It's hard to be established forever in one of those. And so people rotated. So people got from Playdom that were early employees. Said, okay, Three Melons, we need to work with you because you're great. Blah, blah, blah. And well, we're talking to them because we were in the process of fundraising. As a matter of fact, the meeting that I had after the meeting we were doing with Glenn was my first MCP interview with Jeff from Redpoint. And we were sitting there talking about our plans and sharing thoughts, whatever, just in case, because you never know. The general counsel and the CEO got together after explaining about our company, and when we came back and grabbed a napkin and presented their first proposal on a napkin. And so, I mean, I said, okay, well, and it was an interesting sum. I said, no, well, let me think about it. I mean, we were not here to sell the company. It's not something that we're looking for. Yeah, I said, okay, I'll think about it. So I went back and started hurdling and started thinking about the whole thing, and strategically, financially, and professionally for the whole team. I mean, it's not just the founders we need to take care of, but the whole company. I'm responsible for the 50 employees that we have. So strategically, as I said, there was a huge consolidation in the space. Big players growing really fast, raising a lot of money. Playdom rose 47, is close. Zynga rose 180. EA bought Playfish, so it was going to be a battle of someone very far away with lack of access to capital locally. Had to move, had to break my management team in two. Maybe a bit late, I don't know. They say that it was late. I trust them now. And so strategically, it was smart to say, okay, we have a lot of talent in the arts, in the technology of building games. We have a lot of, have a huge reach of their games. They have a good analytics platform. They know how to distribute games. So there's a match there. In addition, financially, the offer it was a cash and equity, undisclosed amount. I can't tell you anything about it, but. So it was some cash to pay off our investors and to set aside for whatever it is that we want to set aside for the founders. But we also were able to give more stock to our employees and also get stock from this company that's thriving and it's growing a lot. That will be a very, very interesting approach. So we balanced that versus raising money, getting diluted, getting X amount of years, getting to a valuation that was good enough for the potential new investors to get in there for an exit, because if you rose $5 million, we got to go to a $50 million valuation or whatever. So it was a challenge there. So we said, okay, financially it's a good base and a very good upside. So financially good. And professionally, we're a young founding team. As I said, the games industry in Argentina did not exist. This is the first company that was acquired. Actually, one of the first companies, all in all, that was acquired by Silicon Valley firm. You can hand count them. So a good accomplishment there, and access to a talent pool in Mountain View, and a global company, because there will be other acquisitions around the world, that leverages us to do something good for the ecosystem in Buenos Aires. So all in all those decisions that were well thought and talked about with my partners and investors, and made us make a decision.